We there?
Boom. We are
Yay!
here. Welcome to, shockingly, episode 7, Super Bowl
Yeah.
aftermath. Um, we're doing okay. I've had some health issues. Dad's had some health issues, so we're
Oh yeah.
both we're
That have
both
nothing to do with the Super Bowl, by the way.
yeah, just trying to get
Exactly.
by. Oh
Whee!
my gosh. How you doing, Dad?
Yeah, I'm sitting up nice and tight. For those that, if anybody out there has ever had sciatic pain, I am now a big commiserator of yours. Oh my word! And hey, I have some stuff. I've lived 63 years. I've had some stuff that hurt. I won't go into all the stories, but man, nothing like sciatic pain. So I commiserate all of you out there who ever watch this and go, yeah, I had that. It's like your Uncle Keeter, right? My brother-in-law had repeatedly had kidney stones. And if you've never had one, you just go, yeah, it's a kidney stone. He's one of the tougher guys I've known in my life, and it literally made him a child crying because it's so awful, right? Very similar. The sciatic thing is just so. Right now, I'm good. I'm sitting up tight, and I'm ready to
Yeah,
talk about the
very,
pain of the
very
Super Bowl.
straight back, very
Exactly.
proper.
Well, it's
Don't
to get
move.
that proper curve in your back, right? If I get a slouchy going, woohoo, you might see my face go grimace and go right off the mic because you know
Just a little, ah!
yeah, I scared the dog absolutely, and poor little Rocky was running around just like I don't know what's wrong with Dad. He is a menace. I'm going to hide. So,
Well, and we're going to start obviously with the Niners because
oh
honestly,
yeah,
what's cool in a weird way is it's not like I have anything against. I mean, I didn't want to lose to the Chiefs again, but
right.
I have so much respect for that whole organization. But I do think we have to start with the Niners is kind of the
So I
aftermath of the loss and all the fun that's happening.
so one little fun because I've had it on my desk forever. Is I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll hold it up. This is Russ and a Seahawk onesie
Seahawks.
when he was a kid. Because obviously I've been a Seahawks fan forever. But yeah, he was little at one point in his life. So I actually
Seahawks.
had that. We made it into a button, and literally still have it. And you're what 33, right?
Yes. Almost
33.
34
So
in September.
literally, I've had this thing for 35 years, or 34 years. So anyway, you know what? I just want to make a kind of a big statement to start with. I actually thought it was a fun game to watch as a Seahawks fan who's also basically a closet Niner fan. Although if they're going to play the Chiefs, I actually like Andy Reid. I like
Same.
Mahomes. I
Yeah.
like what they're doing there in Chicago in
We don't like what they're
in
doing in
Kansas City.
Chicago.
No,
Kansas City's far
no,
better.
no. Well, and we. By the way, once we get to Kansas City, I don't think we can ignore what happened at the parade. But
Yeah, unfortunately.
which is just sad. It's just anyway. So back to the Niners. I actually thought the Niners overall played a really good game. I don't look. It was a punch you in the mouth. Any fumble, any missed block. When you're in the Super Bowl or you're in the playoffs, all that stuff is magnified huge, right? But the only part I missed was the beginning of the third quarter with all the 3-and-outs because we were driving back. We were somewhere else, and I was driving back. So I was trying to watch on my phone, and it wouldn't refresh, which was another fun thing. But anyway, overall, I did think did they play a little close to the vest? I thought so. I thought there was a couple of times where I thought the play to try to get like the first down when it was third and something was a little conservative. I thought the defense at times was a little conservative. But I know there's changes throughout the game, right? If you saw Spags flip to man, and then by the way, I watched an interview today where he actually said he tried to conceal it. He was trying to make it look like a zone and then go to man, right? But overall, I mean, look, they didn't get blown out 35-10. They were in the thing till literally the last play. And if you're a Niners fan or even a Chiefs fan, if let's say the Chiefs miss that, right, and then they don't get 3 points, they would think, hey, we were the better team today, we should have won, right? Niners probably think, hey, we were the better team, we should have won, right? And staying on the Niners, all right. So we're going to get to Kansas City, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They deserve a ton
So
of
I thought
praise.
Brock was as cool as they used to say about Joe as the underside of a pillow. He looked like he had never missed a beat. The first drives that they had were excellent. Some of the tosses he had until they were literally in his face later in the game. I thought he made every throw. I thought there was a couple of reads he missed. Okay, guess what? How many plays did they have? Right, 30? I don't know. You probably know.
And actually, it's funny is both. And I told told my dad and brother this. I love watching film. I have not been able to watch a lot of film.
No. In fact, the one I watched today was like you can't. I know most of you can't watch this or something. It was actually cute. It was what's the guy we like? The 49er guy. Oh shoot! But
Yeah,
it was his longest play. It was his longest review of plays, and he just said Purdy was off the hook, right?
Well, and what's encouraging to me, and maybe start with positives because there's, in my opinion, and again, it's only because I've watched film and I had this conversation with my brother. Sorry, real quick. 71 plays for the Niners, 79 for the Chiefs. And actually, real quick, I do think this is important to say because to your point, the margins are so close, and this is really a tale of two halves. First downs, Niners 23, and actually, I'm gonna try this. No, I can't try that because I forgot.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, I like Chase. I forgot to add your
And then
camera
I also
to the clip
watched
scene.
David Lombardi, who's also pretty good. And
I'm torn on Lombardi. He can be kind of a homer, but whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, and if you want to hear the homer side, you got to go to the homer, right?
Yeah.
But he was talking about he had a really cool video, Spagnola talking. So anyway.
Oh, dude, that's actually probably. Well, let me start with the box score because man, there's like Rob and I went for 2.5 hours. We're not gunning for 2.5 hours, but that's how much there is to talk about.
I don't know that I can sit here for 2.5 hours. You might have to put me in traction.
No, so first downs were even 23-24, and Niners 23, Chiefs 24. Niners were 3 of 12 on third down.
Yeah, boy, that
9
was
of 19.
Bad stat.
9 of 19 for the Chiefs, but I wonder, and I'd love to look. In the second half, they were far better on third down. 300. Go ahead.
Pat started running.
Yeah, they had a couple call plays, which there's some video that's painful.
And there was an interesting. I think maybe you pointed out. Did you send it to me where it was like they literally hadn't ran a designed
correct
Mahomes run in 2 years or something? They said.
Yep.
So Niners are not going to have film on him running because he didn't.
You know what sucks though is Trent Williams from the sideline was saying, "Hey, alert on the quarterback keep." And this is the aftermath of the Niners is obviously in a loss is rough. And real quick, the yardage is pretty close.
Yep.
Turnovers are even, so it was like I said, a pretty even game. The hard part, and I will. This is where I will say I'm pretty hard on Shanahan. Is I'm not big on mistakes repeating themselves continuously throughout the season. So unblocked rushers was a problem the whole season. We had the most in Super Bowl history. We had 9 unblocked rushers on Purdy. There were some plays where both Ayuk and Debo gave up on their routes, which was a little alarming. So a little weird things like lack of focus that was surprising. I completely agree with people. I will not say the defense lost this game. You had Mahomes to almost a shutout and a half. At some point, he's going to start scoring. Your defense is going out of steam. You need to be able to score.
But I will tell you, in the last, at least I think the last 2 drives in regulation, they looked lost. Like they 100%. Did not have. They were like, wait a minute, are they calling plays that we've never seen? Well, what do we do? The zero. What do you call it? Cover zero. Before Shanahan called the timeout, I mean. Yeah. But there was a couple of times where you're like, these boys don't know where to be. And I'm like, this whole season, go anyway. So that was one. I think in the overtime, here's the other thing, right? So Brock Purdy looked cool as a pillow. The rest of those guys, other than Christian McCaffrey, who was if they won, it was MVP. It was Christian McCaffrey. What'd you say? I think it was 160.
Yeah, 160 yards.
Total. Yeah,
80 rushing, 80 catching.
The man literally left his heart on the field. I don't know if anybody noticed at the end. He was literally dragging his body, Jennings was unbelievable. Which here's what I'll tell you. I've watched football a billion years. The number of times it is not the Jerry Rice, it is the third guy, the slot guy, the tight end that never got a pass, the fullback. Juice again making that catch.
Yes.
That was. I mean, he's done 2 of those. I mean, anyway, it's those guys stepping up, in my opinion, that separates, right? On the Niners, talking about defense, how you let Travis Kelce get 100 yards in the last 4 or 3 drives, and you put a linebacker on it. What did you do all game where he got 0 catches? That's the part I don't get.
Remember, part of it is Greenlaw went out about halfway through the game.
Then put a safety on him. Something.
No.
Oh my God.
So there's multiple layers, because I agree with you completely. And actually, I will say both Shanahan and Wilkes got out coached for the last couple drives, in my opinion. Because and remember when I said things that repeat is when Wilkes. And there's some weirdness with him. I agree with firing him. I don't love how Shanahan went about it. I feel like I have a big concern with his ability to learn and evolve as a coach, because, again, of those same things repeating. But to your point, it's been this problem all year, is soft coverage. Yeah. The offense starts rolling. It looks like Wilkes panics. It looks like people don't know where to be. Yeah. He's not very creative. The defense is very static.
Well, now, by the way, I love the personnel on defense.
Agreed.
I actually like who they have, right? I don't see Seahawks fan, right? I've seen where literally you just put it in any running back's hands, including you and your brother, and you'll get 210 yards rushing against the Niners. Seahawks, I mean.
Right.
Over and over again. And they did nothing to fix it for years. I mean, it was just – so, I feel your frustration when you see the same things all year. It was like you can run hey, when you guys had who was the beast? Not my beast for Seahawks, but your guy that ran for 1 million yards.
Mostert?
No, before that.
Oh, like Frank Gore? Who are we talking about?
Yeah, Frank Gore used to put up like 250 on the Seahawks, right? And here's the funny part: you knew it was coming, and they still couldn't. And by the way, Seahawks had a great group of linebackers. They're front 4. So if you don't have a front 7, and I think the Niners have a phenomenal front 7, right? It does go a little bit to the tackling of Bosa. So look, I didn't post anything. I'm not a social media dude, but dude, there's 3 highlights where the guy literally tackled him.
Well, and that, I mean, I understand
pulled him
people's
to the
frustration, because if you look at the Chiefs are the most penalized team and have never been
which
called
I didn't know until you said that.
Yeah, which have never been called in a Super Bowl. Now, I will say, so to me, when the game turned, is when Shanahan didn't try to get the ball back to end the second half. He had tons of time, had timeouts, just chose to. It was like you can't beat Mahomes up 10-3. You're not going to. Then to enter the third quarter, we got 0 points off interception. Here's our drives. 3 plays -1 yard, 3 plays -1 yard, 3 plays 0 yards. That's when the game turned. Is when you couldn't move the ball at all.
Right? That's normal.
And he
right?
switched
at
to man
halftime,
coverage.
going, guys, this isn't working. This is what's working. I think that's when he switched to man. By the way, those are the 3 drives I didn't see because I was in a car.
Now, I really think the bright spot for Niners is Purdy. Literally didn't even have his best game because there were some things he missed. I've watched some film from JT who breaks it down like it's an hour worth. I've gotten about halfway because it gets more painful the further I get into the video.
Right.
But even with missing things, he was pointing out several plays where he's like, the guys, there's nobody open. There's no one to pass to. But to end the game, 12 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, 6 minutes. Field goal, 7 plays, 40 yards, 4 minutes. Like, he kept up, and in overtime, 13 plays, 66 yards, almost an 8-minute drive. Purdy, I'm not worried about. Nope. I'm not even remotely concerned.
Absolutely not.
Because first year, no offseason, coming off, devastating surgery.
Agreed.
I now get him, who set the franchise record, by the way, this year, a full offseason.
Franchise record.
And in a weird way, I'm actually happy that Mike McDonald is now the Seahawks coach, because I think part of the problem is Shanahan's system really works well against the NFC. It doesn't work that great against the AFC. The more we had the most problems was Cleveland, Baltimore, Kansas City.
Yeah, back to your franchise. Okay. This is the franchise with who?
Joe Montana, Steve Young. And weirdly enough, Jeff Garcia had the record.
Jeff Garcia.
Which was
absolutely. Well, because he played years and he had success. It's not
he was good. He doesn't get enough credit. I actually think he's better than people think.
My point being, the second-year, 24-year-old, wet behind the ears kid that supposedly wasn't any good set a franchise record, right? And by the way, those franchise all-world guys, I think the stars were big for them. I'll be honest with you. They did not. To your point, when they showed them trying to. How did you put it? You had a better way to put it, but you basically said, look, on their own, they're not T.O., they're not Jerry Rice, they're not going to be open by themselves. Oh, yeah. Right? They need a rub route, they need to move them, and of course Shanahan knows that, right? But to your point, when he went straight to shotgun, zero movement, bunch route,
and on
those
empty,
guys could not get open.
Well, but here's what's also frustrating.
How come Kittle didn't get open all day? Where in that world was all-world Kittle?
See, right? And this is where I really our media bugs me, because I think these are things that Shanahan should get grilled on.
By the way, that's not Brock Purdy's problem.
No.
By the way, we've talked about it. You and I think we're on Marco, where you're talking about it's designed to be 34 seconds or whatever the.
Right.
They don't get up the line and look at the sidelines and go, "Hey, should we do something different?"
Right.
I think he audibled to a run once.
Right.
I think he's got a hot audible to a run. Other than that, he said Shanahan basically says, "No, get out there and run my offense."
Yep. And the center even handles the pass protection. It's not even Purdy.
Yeah.
So he purposely minimizes the quarterback position, which I understand in his mind.
The kid's 24 years old.
But in general, he's done that the whole time he's been with the Niners.
Yeah.
In
Whether
his
it's
mind,
what's his name?
Garoppolo.
Yeah, or
Matt Ryan. I think I'd have to look at film. I'm sure he gave him more leeway because he was a veteran.
Yeah, I mean he'd been playing. No, I meant the rookie that we traded.
Lance.
You traded. I didn't trade him.
Man, he ran him like a running back. That was the weirdest. Right. That was still weird. Yeah, but I really wish our media would kind of call him on it, because
there's a couple pretty brutal that I didn't watch because to your point it'd be a little painful. And I'm not into crucifying people. I mean, look, Wilkes getting fired. Nobody likes the way a firing ever happens in the NFL ever, to be honest. Should it happen differently? I don't know. I don't run an NFL front office.
Well,
right? Did he need to lose his job? I think so.
Yeah, and it's not even because of the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is just kind of a microcosm of the whole season.
That was just an illustration of what's been going on all year.
Right. My biggest problem, and again, I get it. Shanahan's not beholden to me. He's beholden to guys in the locker room and in the leadership. I get that, but there are ways that he could approach the media that, like Brock does really well, like taking accountability. And that's always been a pet peeve of mine with Shanahan, is how cagey he doesn't like
go to character,
media.
Right? It goes to character, right?
Sure.
Who are you underneath? And I think he's just like his dad. He's a narcissist in the NFL. He's not Gibbs, right? He's not some of these, or even Andy Reid. Andy Reid, right? I mean, it's a different cut of. And by the way, to your point, we transitioned to the Chiefs, but hey, Andy Reid has paid his dues.
Yeah, he didn't win for like 18 years.
Look, dude, but think about this, just his Philly stint.
Yeah.
You know how often every year they called for his head? Every year. Mm-hmm. I don't care if he got to the Super Bowl or NFC Championship. It was fire that guy, or, because the Philly press and the fans too are just, if you don't give us like Super Bowl on a platter, you're not good enough, right? Anyway,
to end on Niners, because I do want to get to the Chiefs, because I have a lot of genuinely positive. I have nothing negative to say about them.
No.
They played fantastic. Real quick, it's an interesting discussion of who is going to replace Wilkes.
Oh, yeah.
People are dreaming Belichick. Obviously, that's not going to happen unless Belichick
By the way,
is bored.
I thought when Rob said that, I thought, because I think I told you I was taking a walk, and I was like, now, would Shanahan do that? Nope, he'd walk, in my opinion. There's no way that guy would.
Oh, Rob's idea. I was like, of course you take.
Right,
Okay.
a Belichick, right? And then I've seen it all over the internet since then. So I don't know if he saw it first or thought of it first or whatever.
Well, and I'm okay with Vrabel. I don't want the dude from former Chargers head coach. So it'll be interesting. You really want to get this right.
Assistant. I don't want a guy that stepped down and now is kind of trying to get back to the start. I want a guy that's innovative, that can use personnel, that
I think Vrabel can do that, in my opinion. I think Mike Vrabel. I think he fits.
I do
and here's why. And to give Shanahan credit real quick, he did specify like why Wilkes was the disconnect between the front seven and the back four, which I agree with. We saw that all year.
I didn't watch that interview. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with him. I think that was exactly the problem.
You brought it up actually like weeks ago.
Yeah, and you can tell
the back
they knew.
Four seemed to be doing better, and the front seven seemed to be lost.
Yeah, and this is sometimes I think is a problem with Shanahan. I think he's good at obviously developing talent because they're getting poached down to the passing line coach. But obviously this didn't really fit, which happened. So we'll see. They have an off season to kind of figure it out. I don't love.
Look,
go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Wilkes in any of his previous positions. I've never met the man. He could be just phenomenal guy, but he sucked in Arizona, right? I mean, Arizona was awful. Now, other people have been in Arizona when it was awful, and I don't believe they're terrible coaches. I mean, you make it in the NFL. You get to the Super Bowl. You didn't just get there on some other people, right?
Right. Well, and
I don't know if it's the fit, like you said.
I think it is
fit with Shanahan. I don't know if it's the scheme. I never saw a real scheme. By the way,
but to be fair to him, remember he is not running his own scheme. He did bring in his own assistants, which is really weird. Yeah. I don't think that was setting him up for Shanahan any kind of success.
I hope the guy that Shanahan hires is able to be. I'm the defense. You go play offense. I will be responsible for defense.
And that's actually why I think he needs Vrabel.
That's great.
I think he needs someone who will be like, listen, go away. Talk to me after the game.
Well, we'll talk. But you
know what I mean. Be able to push back to be like, listen, I get it, but you can't do this right now. I am not thrilled at some of the drama around Ayuk. Apparently that's normal.
How old's Ayuk? 25, 26?
No, it's more of the girlfriend and the brother posting stuff where I'd be like, guys, could you not speak for me? But that's apparently normal.
Yeah, how did that work out for my buddy Russell?
Well, Niners are a little different in that Debo did it. We paid him. So it depends. It depends on how much Kyle likes him.
I'm saying when they start, Russell Wilson forever never did any of that. And then all of a sudden the fiance, friends of the fiance, the posse, and you're like, you want to go tell all those people, look, you don't speak for me. Shut up.
Yeah, it's just apparently how people do things now. I don't like it, but whatever. I think he's not going anywhere. They have him for another year. They'll pay him. It's a non-issue. But to transition,
by the way, I do have my Alexander jersey on today. A little throwback.
Oh, he was so fun to watch.
Great.
I'm actually curious what he's doing now.
Huh?
I'm actually curious what he's doing now.
I think he's in ministry, actually. I think he's in ministry, if I remember.
Oh, wow. Because a lot of former players are getting into coaching now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Second, third generation. That's,
And let's start with, I think we start with the parade first because it's so important.
I didn't even know. Okay, I was dying the day before with my back. So, I mean seriously. I'm not teasing. I almost called 911. I was in here in my office. I don't remember what I think I'd laid down or something. I got up and I went in the restroom, did my business. I got up and all of a sudden, it's like somebody rammed, the cattle prod into right where your buttocks meets your hip. And from then on, I was stuck. I literally couldn't move. Fortunately, I had my pants up and all that. I don't mean any of that. But I got into here and I thought, I'm going to lay down because that's how I get my back straight.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out how to do that. So then I literally inch by inch got back down the hallway, got into the bedroom, and I literally had to call my wife and say, honey, I don't know what to do. I'm completely stuck at the dresser. It's at one of those high dressers. And before she could get home, I literally just grit my teeth and pushed through the agony and got to the bed and laid down. And I literally thought I was about ready to call 911. So I missed all of the news about the parade. And Kansas City? Really? Where did you end up? In Memphis or something? What,
Yeah, I just.
Where does the end of the parade? I mean, there's 3 guys supposedly, and I didn't see all of the aftermath, so I'm kind of out of that.
Well, yeah, and I want to look it up so I get my details right. Well, and I also hate, of course, it's just turned into this whole thing, which I don't care what side you're on. Please don't use tragedies for your own stuff. That's awful.
Yeah, your political advantage. Yeah,
because it's a horrible situation. 22 people injured, half of them under the age of 16. A host of a radio show was killed. Lisa Lopez.
Oh yeah,
Galvin. Her adult son was also shot. 11 children were taken to the hospital, 9 with gunshot wounds. All but 1 child has been released, and they're expected to recover. 8 gunshot victims were taken to another hospital. 2 were in critical condition. 5 had been discharged. Third hospital gunshot victim was in critical condition, upgraded to serious. It's just
how many people actually lost their lives so far, Russ?
You know what? I was actually trying to find that,
because that's just look, I am not even thoughts and prayers and all that. I'm not trying to minimize any of it. I just struggle that how do you have an event that is all about how great it is for the city, how great it is for the fans and the athletes and the Chiefs faithful, and just absolutely deteriorate into a gun battle. I just I'm not even social. I'm not even what do you call it? I'm not even trying to make any kind of social judgment. I'm just like, how in the world, right?
Yeah.
Where
So what sucks even more is that lady's the only one who died, and 2 teenagers are in custody. And it sounds like
how many did you say?
1 dead, 2 teenagers have been arrested. 2 teenagers.
I don't know if you saw a fan actually tackled one of them. The wife of the fan kicked the gun away from this young person, basically saving other people.
Yep.
The man him and his wife are heroes, in my opinion. Basically you're doing it for everybody but you. So, hats off to that gentleman.
Well,
didn't look like a young guy.
Here's what they're saying the shooting stemmed from: a dispute between several people. So people got. And again, I'm going off the news story. Is if that's true, then those people should unequivocally be ashamed of themselves. That it was an argument that they escalated into pulling a weapon. That is just I don't want to get too hard into any of this, but just the fact that is your solution to an argument is to try to take someone's life.
Yep.
Which unfortunately it sounds like as well. And maybe not, but that I doubt that host was even involved in the argument.
No.
So innocent
collateral
people
damage,
lost life
or whatever they
you
call
can't
it,
control
right?
your temper,
right?
And it's so sad because it's just it shouldn't. Like, I get it, it's just sports, but to your point, it was just a parade. It wasn't even like you're at a political route.
Right? It's supposed to be all the big feel good.
You're not protesting. Right? You're not at a riot. You're not. It's just literally supposed to be fun, goofy. Us just having
somewhat
a good time.
Low key, right? Yeah. Anyway, it's just very tragic, and I didn't hear about it till literally the next day, and went to my wife and said, "Honey, have you heard?" And she says, "No." She does watch news stuff, and she's not, she's not like me, somewhat not clued in.
It's the same. I let my wife fill me in, or else I'd spend too much time angry.
Yeah, there's always that.
So and then we start with that because we do want to thoughts, prayers. It's just as a Niner fan, there's no part of me that's like, oh yeah, Kansas. No, we're with you. We support you guys.
That's
like
awful.
Listen, to kind of continue on into the silly, because it's the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, we're invested. It obviously is still affecting me, but it's just a freaking game.
Yeah, it is.
I have nothing against the Chiefs. Good for them. I have so much respect for Mahomes and Andy Reid and Spag. Like, I think coaches should study those last few drives. Yeah. Seriously, and look at
Yeah.
calling plays you never called before, dialing up perfectly timed blitzes. Just well done.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I would say, and look, before we deify Patrick Holmes, for 3 quarters he was just okay. He was just okay.
Don't tell Rob.
They had his number in the first half, huh?
Don't tell Rob that.
But his numbers were great in about after, like, if you look. By the way, during the Niners and they both scored 10 points. So how is Mahomes all world and Brock shouldn't be there? I mean, that was kind of where.
And I brought that point up, and
by the way, Chiefs scored a touchdown. Niners scored a field goal. That's the difference.
Right.
That's it.
Now,
I don't care about
what I
the
would say
point, because that just means the Chiefs would have went for a touchdown earlier. Then it would have been all weird after that, right?
We didn't even get into the weirdness of overtime because it's just there's so much to talk about. That's a whole nother. The fact that the Niners didn't know the rules still bothers me, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter that much. The only thing I would say though is if you and Rob's watched a lot of the Chiefs, and I've just watched film because I enjoy film. Mahomes was not the problem, unfortunately, for that team.
No.
And because I agree with you, he did
all years.
He did just look okay, but boy, if they get another receiver, I mean, like if this is a down year for Mahomes.
Well, and by the way, is Kelce going to retire? Right? He's not. He's not 22.
Which, to bounce real quick, because you mentioned Kelce, I don't really care he bumped into Andy Reid. Andy Reid didn't care he bumped into Andy Reid. Kelce that was
just weird.
Well, but if you listen to the podcast, because what I really respect about Travis is to quote him, if Andy would have turned around and cold cocked me, I deserved it. I was passionate, but that was still not okay. And his brother, by the way, called him out. Said, "Hey, that's not that you crossed the line."
If you're his brother, it just gives you opportunity.
Well, I really like the older brother. Wait a
minute. His brother watches his, whatever she is to him, dance up and down in the press. By the way, they showed her more than they showed.
Oh, of course.
Anyway, but yeah, I think it's hilarious that his brother called him out.
Well, and that's what I really like Jason Kelce because he's.
I do too.
And not anything against Travis. Yeah, you went completely out of focus. That was weird. It'll happen at some point. Whatever.
Yeah, it'll go back.
Technology. Jason's obviously the calmer one of the two, which makes also sense. He plays
center
lineman. Yeah, exactly. So I've always liked Jason Kelce. I really think he's an upstanding guy. I can't wait for him to be just like a fan because he's just fun to listen to. But I'll be honest with you. And we didn't even mention the Kittle fumble where people are mad that he wasn't blocking. None of it I care about. None of it's even worth spending time on. I don't care that he bumped Andy Reid. Andy Reid went and talked to him. Travis Kelce's quoted as saying, until Big Red, he calls him, retires, he wants to play with him. As soon as Andy Reid retires, Travis Kelce's retiring. So
really?
Yeah, he said he loves playing for him. And he hates what it's turned into. Oh, you just killed your camera. Well, I will wait for him to come back. I will vamp until he comes back because he just killed his camera. Yeah, I don't care about the situation. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I really don't understand why people are making a big deal about that or Kittle, quote unquote, not block until the whistle. Yeah, I don't think it's nearly the big deal that people are making it out to be. And obviously him and Andy Reid have squashed it. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends of all time. Without him, they're not winning, a Super Bowl. So, I think he's back. Oh, now I can't hear you. Did you accidentally unplug your microphone? Wait. Hold on. I'm not seeing any audio from your camera. Or from you.
There we go.
Hey, you're back.
Yeah, it picked the headset, which dumbass thing. Anyway. So you were talking about Kelce.
I had just finished saying, I'm not even going to spend any more time on it. Who cares? It's not that big a deal. Him and Reid squashed it.
Yeah, so here's the fun part about Kansas City, right? It's not like this wasn't like out of the flash of the pan, right? They went through some stuff during the year. They had a couple of guys they basically aren't even there or not playing. I don't remember who brought that up. I don't remember if it was Romo or the guy that was offsides and the guy that literally
Tony.
Should be playing defense instead of offense. And there was another guy they mentioned, and I'm like.
There was a
Rob's
guy who
watching
got hurt on
Kansas
the
City.
defense. That was a big deal.
But they were no, it was an offensive guy. It was another guy dropping balls left and right. And but if you look at their
I
offense,
don't remember.
it's Rice and Kelce. That's it. There's nobody else. And they stopped Rice and Kelce for 2.5 quarters, basically. And I would love somebody show me what did they do different. Either Kansas City did a different route for Kelce, or the Niners changed their defense. I don't know. And to your point, it could have been Greenlaw, being hurt and he's out now. Now they got to change their coverage schemes. I don't know.
Yeah, and
but all of a sudden,
unfortunately,
he was running free down the field.
So there's unfortunately enough film that the replacement for Greenlaw, Owen Burks, has a bad habit of being out of position. And I get it. You're not playing nearly as much. You need the reps. It's just part of it. But I would still say the run game and the front seven really regressed under Wilkes. So I think that's partly that disconnect. They've been struggling all year for some of those things.
If you look at the 3 catches, and they were big, 54, who I always want to say is Wagner because I'm a Seahawks fan, was chasing him.
Yep.
He faked him out on the out, and then he went back in, and you're not catching him at that point if you're a linebacker.
Well, and what's frustrating,
unless you're Keena Turner or something.
What's frustrating to me is we did such a good job against Detroit where we showed man, went to zone, and they did that mesh concept because it's so hard. Because to give them credit is lining them up and running that route, but to also call out the Niners, Warner can't guard him on that route, and no one can because you're just not quick enough on a first step, and it's over. The 0 blitz on 3rd and 4 was also ridiculous. But I will say, and this is what's hard about football and makes it really hard as a fan, because unless you go back and literally watch, like to your point, watch film, go, okay, who did what? Did the Kansas City change or did the Niners change?
Yeah.
Like, this is a tale of two different halves. What happened? And Rob didn't love when I said this, but I really stand by it. This is the weakest the NFL as a whole has been. Because if you look, Buffalo had chances and blew them, missed field goal, drop passes, Allen missing a throw to the end zone. Miami was 1-7 versus good teams. They weren't even competitive against Kansas City. Ravens had the taunting penalty, the fumble, and the interception. Niners had the muff punt and the fumble, and then the weirdness with overtime. It felt like every step of the way, and it makes sense because this is Andy Reid, Chiefs were prepared. Like, they just kept believing, we're going to be there, we're going to be prepared. Andy Reid, I don't know if Andy Reid is quoted or someone said, yeah, we talked in preseason about the new overtime rules, and we knew no matter what, if they score a touchdown, we're going for 2. Yeah. Like, they already had a plan in preseason. Yeah,
but to be honest with you, that's I don't know that that's the deal breaker, like you said earlier.
Oh no,
right? I think the that to your point that everybody's on the same page.
Oh, 100%.
On the Chiefs, right?
They're very well coached.
That their defense, literally could shift whatever they were doing to whatever they were doing different, right? The one thing Spags said, which I thought, one thing I did want to say, and I forgot to say it, I think, about Purdy, he was throwing to everybody. Jennings, the fullback. I mean, he didn't have to wait for Debo and if you watched Kansas City, you know what? If they hadn't been able to throw the 3 passes to Kelce, I don't think Rice had anything over like 3 yards. And to be honest with you, I can't name their other receivers.
I can't either.
Don't even know if they had a catch, right? So you've been doing whatever you were doing, and you literally, if you look at the stats for Kansas City, there's only 2 guys.
Yeah.
262 yards for Kelce and 247 or something over the, by the way, Kansas City went through the long route, which is the wild card.
Yep.
There was the day in the NFL you didn't win as a wild card. I think first wild card Super Bowl winner was the Raiders, just so you know, back in the day. Anyway, my point being, if you're the defensive coordinator, how do you let Kelce free? Obviously, the offensive coordinator saw something, right? He saw a way to get Kelce free, or because of Greenlaw or however however their defense changed, he just went, oh, yay. I can put my number one guy who doesn't fumble, who runs over people, who, my
Well, and you know what? It's
future
something
Hall of Famer.
it's something we've always given Belichick credit for. Is what do we always say? When the third quarter, Belichick owns, because he comes out of halftime with his adjustments, and that's when the tables turn. It's never been a strong suit of Shanahan. It's definitely not a strong suit of Wilkes. Right. Both Andy Reid and Spagnuolo obviously changed some things, because in the second half that it like completely flipped.
But okay, so flip the other two games though. They came out at halftime and actually improved. So here's a weird dichotomy to think about. So let's say I kind of have my will in the first half. You go in at halftime, what do you change? You don't know yet. Right? You go in with, I can't cover Kelce. Mm-hmm. And if I don't cover him, we're done. You change stuff. Well, if you go in and you're ahead, you've actually kept the guy to 3 points and probably could have kept him to 0 if you'd been a little more aggressive. And you're moving the ball. They were moving the ball like crazy, right? Anyway, they had a fumble. Right, they had a fumble. I think they would have, 14 plus points potentially. Anyway.
Yeah, first drive was fumble, but next drive was a punt, field goal, punt, touchdown, and so it was kind of up
but I
and
mean,
down.
they were if you they were, once again, it could go back to third down probably, but you're against a really, really good defense, and you could have been up by 17-3 or 0 or something, right? My point being, you go in at halftime, you're going, okay, this is working. We need to keep doing like running, whatever you're going to do. Kansas City's like, holy crap, right? They're getting away with what we maybe thought they were going to do, whatever, and they make the adjustments, and all of a sudden 3 and out, right?
Well, and if you look, and
then does he adjust at that point?
He's never been, and then if you look at both in Packer game, we threw 39 times in the rain, never adjusted. Detroit, a lot of things had to go right. But if you look like in the second half, to kind of go back to the Niners real quick, first 3-play negative 1 yard drive, there was an incomplete pass, false start, incomplete pass, scramble. Almost got sacked, so it was a negative 8 yard, basically a sack. So negative 8 yard play, 7 yard pass, incomplete. So, then run for no gain, incomplete. So, I mean, whatever they came out of halftime, the Chiefs doing really messed up the Niners. Because obviously, I mean, the fact that we got, what was that, negative 2 yards on 3 drives, I mean, that's impressive. Now, after that, it was touchdown, field goal, end of half, but that was enough of a lull to give, and of course, this was followed up by the muff punt. But, I think that switch, because Spagnuolo talks about it, that Purdy was just dicing up their zone, and it was just not working.
Right.
So the fact that in the middle of a game, he went, okay, we're changing our defense. And then, I'd have to look. I haven't really watched the Mahomes breakdown. They had to have changed something, because now, also like the Niners to start out, it went interception, punt, field goal, punt. That was the turnover, touchdown, field goal.
Well, was it you that said, look, you can't have 2 turnovers and get 0 points?
Yeah. They got at least 7 off turnovers. We got 0.
Ouch. Right. So overall, because I know, we're getting close to the top of the hour. I just, everybody is so quick to go, GOAT on Mahomes. Well, okay. Really?
Well, so the only reason
I think he's really good, and he's currently the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and I said he could be the MJ.
Is he better than Tom Brady already?
So here's what's tough, and here's what
if competition is down, like you said, if competition is down, well, is he really that good, or does everybody else suck?
So here's what's tough, right? If you look at, it all depends on your argument, because sure. I'm not someone who has MJ necessarily number 1 just because of being 6-0, but that's a lot of people point to, right? People point to being 6-0.
Montana was undefeated. Mahomes never threw an interception, by the way.
No,
in
and
every Super Bowl.
that's what's tough,
It's
right?
crazy.
Is
Now
if
he did have. Hey, look, he did have 5 touchdowns against one team.
true, but what's tough?
Anybody want to know who they are? Denver Broncos. Anyway.
Well, and someone made the comment on Twitter. It was very funny to me. He's like, I now understand why Collinsworth doesn't like the Niners because he lost twice. But
Yes,
what's
painfully
tough is,
lost, by the way.
what's tough is it depends on your narrative, right? Because
Yeah.
Mahomes has got 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Has been to the Super Bowl 4 times. He's 3-1. His stats, to your point, aren't actually that impressive, which is interesting.
Not really.
But what's so weird is like, okay, are we doing stats? Because I saw one that was crazy. Is he's like the only quarterback down 10 points who's like 7-1. So and here's the tough part to also play devil's advocate against that a little bit is I do think competition is down. It's that weird lull while the old quarterbacks are leaving and the new quarterbacks are coming in.
Right, he's kind of in between, right?
Right. Now, is he benefiting from that? Absolutely. People, though, make the argument that because I do think he could be the MJ of this generation. We're gonna see is Andy Reid didn't have a single Super Bowl before him. Gets Mahomes, immediately goes to a Super Bowl. But I would also say people adore Andy Reid's playbook. Like his plays are studied across the league.
Yes,
Spagnuolo is the only defensive coordinator to have 4 Super Bowls. So it's like, okay, so there's obviously other factors, but Michael Jordan was not Michael Jordan without Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen. So it's weird. It's going to be interesting.
Well, they are team sports. We can't forget that.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the point I've made is I don't think he does it without Reid or without Kelce or without Spagnuolo.
No, but do the flip side, right? Do the flip side. All right, I can hardly name guys on the Kansas City Chiefs except
100%
Mahomes and Kelce.
Yeah, he elevates that
Same
team.
thing with same thing by the way with Brady. Right, he had a bunch of different people all along the way. Welker and Gronk and who was his running back? You can't even remember half the time, right? Their defense was good. You did have Belichick's defense, but Brady did it with and so did Montana. To be fair, I've been watching old Montana film just to make sure I'm not remembering things through certain kind of glasses. But that being said, right, Mahomes is it. These guys are 10-6 without him?
Yep.
In my opinion, maybe less, right? I don't even know who their backup is. Who's their second string quarterback?
I literally couldn't tell
Does
you.
anybody even know, right? So,
the most irrelevant
and he hasn't really had
sports.
an injury. He hasn't really had a big, huge thing happen. Is he that good without Andy Reid? I mean, all those questions come up, right? Whereas Brady was able to answer those, much to my chagrin, because I don't like New England at all. I've never really been a big Brady fan. I begrudgingly say he's the best, right? He goes to the Buccaneers and takes them to Super Bowl.
So, and the only reason I'm torn is I think this is such human nature, though, because I told Rob, let's say Andy Reid retires and Mahomes never wins another Super Bowl. Does that change how good Mahomes is? No, because the problem with football, if you like, for instance, I follow a guy on Twitter who I think he's an Eagles fan because he does a lot of Eagles breakdown, but he showed. Like, guys, their offense is archaic.
Right.
There's nothing for Jalen Hurts to do. So I think the problem is, and this was really...
Is that a Jalen Hurts problem? Probably not, right?
And that's where I'm torn is like, okay, so if Reid retires, but they don't do a good job... Or here's another, for instance. People say, well, Matt Ryan had one good year with Shanahan. Well, name another Atlanta Falcons coach. They all kept getting fired.
There's a few. But... the thing about Matt Ryan is, look, he had all-world stats almost every year.
Right.
They were Air Coryell of the East. They were the fastest game on turf. They were, not. They had other challenges, but.
By the way, Blaine Gabbert is the backup.
Not bad backup, actually.
Eh.
But my point being, he's not going over 10-6 if Mahomes isn't there.
No.
Especially this year.
But that's where I think, and it's the only reason I get a little annoyed when we talk about Mahomes beat Purdy. Well,
maybe 8-8,
okay,
actually.
Well, yeah, but how badly they could catch. But we I don't know why we do this with football too, because we know, especially in the Super Bowl, all it took was one missed block for Purdy not be able to throw the ball in overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and by the way, they ran the same blitz on the right side, and he went out 3, and then in the they ran the blitz on the left side.
Yep.
Same blitz, or it was left then
That's
right.
where he knocked it down.
Same blitz. Oh shoot! Can I have my doctor. I'm gonna mute for a sec. Okay.
Have fun.
If I can find my mute button.
You know what we're gonna do? Is we're gonna hide him so he has some privacy. No, and it's interesting, and I'll kind of continue this a little bit because it bugs me with football that we don't talk about the whole team. We really just talk about the. He doesn't know I hit him. we don't talk about the whole team. We talk about the quarterbacks, where Purdy lost to Mahomes, or Shanahan can't win the big one, but he's literally lost to Brady and Mahomes, who we consider possibly the top two of all time. It's just frustrating because I don't think it's as simple as we make it out to be. You need your offensive coordinator, you need your defensive coordinator, you need your line to execute, you need your freaking receivers to catch the ball. But when we end these conversations, we always end up on these quarterbacks essentially acting like they did everything. No, they do a lot. Brady and Mahomes do a lot with very little, but it's just not remotely that simple. I've learned this just watching film because Chase Daniel, JT O'Sullivan, Kurt Warner will break it down for you and actually explain half the time what we think is the quarterback doing something stupid. Could be someone quitting on a route, could be a guy running the wrong route. Could cornerback did a great job. Literally took Debo down to the ground at one point. So I just wish we had a little more nuance in these conversations where we'd actually talk through and spend the time saying, hey, yes, Mahomes is possibly one of the best of all time, and he also has Andy Reid, and he also has Kelce, and he also has Spagnuolo, and those things matter. Welcome back.
Yeah, good. That was from my back. Hello, everybody.
Good news.
I can get in on Monday. Thank
Yay!
You. But I think that is the team thing that you're talking about, right? It's like you as an organization. I think as a Niners fan, that's something to be very positive with right now. Mm-hmm. You have John Lynch, and I giggled when New York came down and flew everybody to Vegas. By the way, it cost them dimes to fly him to Vegas. This is an Eddie DeBartolo thing for the old-time Niner fans. He used to fly the entire organization to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl and got in trouble. That's how York ended up.
Wait, why did he get in trouble?
Because you're not supposed to do that, apparently, back then. He didn't care. He pulled it out of his own pocket and paid it for everybody to go. But he did a lot of those things flew, talk to, if you go back and look at video or interviews with players that played for Eddie, and they were just like, Jerry Jones wishes he was Eddie DeBartolo. He just dodged everybody told they made Eddie sell the team, right, to the Yorks, who screwed it up for years. If you talk to Steve Young, he was on KMBR back in the day going, these people are awful. They need to sell the team. They suck. So they finally get Lynch, and they get who I believe is a great head coach. I really do. Shanahan, right? Does he make mistakes? Last time I checked, we're all human. But I believe they have a great organization. Lots of really great people. The point you made earlier, do they be able to keep them all? Do they play Brock early? What do they do, right? I think you got to do something just to be that organization, to be the one that says, that guy's my guy, and I'm not going to pay him $70 million. Please, God, don't do what they did here with Kyler, right, before he proves himself to do anything. And Kyler's fine. Kyler's a great quarterback. I don't know, he's worth $40 million or whatever. But anyway.
Well, it handicaps your team. I've never been a big fan of that. Mahomes is literally the exception.
Right, but here's the deal, right? They literally got the NFC Championship game last year. If they didn't blow up Purdy, do they get the Super Bowl 2 years in a row? And how do they do last year against, I don't know.
But so real quick,
as a Niners fan, dry the tears, because it'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason. I think that's a great watch.
2 years in a row, unblocked rushers on your quarterback. Literally throughout the whole season, JT was like, this is how you get your quarterback hurt. So what I'm hoping is in the offseason, Shanahan goes and says, okay, I have a quarterback.
I said the same thing for these guys, and they never got the left tackle. They never got the, Russell Wilson was running for his life.
Crazy?
stupid as all get out.
It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah,
But
speaking of, right, I don't think I'm struggling with my Seahawks having the organization that the Niners have. I don't think they do. I'm excited about the new quarterback. They didn't hire Dan Quinn, thank God. I told you how fantastic. By the way, they just upped and paid. Who's their quarterback?
they didn't necessarily up and pay him. It was just
have him on the team to give him guaranteed money.
Well, yes.
Instead of like they did with Russell Wilson in Denver, where they let him go so they didn't have to pay him.
So the only thing I'm okay with that is I think that gives your coach a year because you know you're not going to get one of the big quarterbacks in the draft and maybe you don't have the capital. So I'm actually okay with it. I think for the first year to kind of like, okay, what do we... I just... The only reason I'm okay with it, Dad, is I just don't know what the options were. You know what I mean? I don't really... Do you have enough to...
No. I think as an organization, I think paying him was a great thing. I just think he's not your number one quarterback.
No, yeah, I think this is a year deal.
The right thing to do. I'm an organization that supports my players. Yeah, that's what we do.
So
right? This is the agreement we signed. That's why I'm so unhappy, quote unquote, as a Wilson fan, and I hate Denver, so it's easy for me to do this. That the way that they did that compared to what they did with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
I just don't think Geno's your number one guy. I know Seahawks fans, I'm a Seahawks fan. They just think somehow Geno's the second coming. He was a 9-year backup, and now he's the starter.
Listen,
he's going to take it to Super Bowl. No, he's not.
Listen, Niner fans were doing this with Jimmy.
They were 9-7 or 9-8 2 years in a row.
No, listen, the Niner fans did this with Jimmy. It's just this weird fan thing that I don't quite understand it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. Like, just be honest about your players. Just because he's on your team doesn't mean you have to be like, no, this was the next Tom Brady. Like, no, you can say, like, hey, he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah. Well, look, I think he's better uninjured, to be honest with you there. I do think there's some skills that he had that were good, that he tended to be a winner, in my opinion. But, you know, how many times are you carried off the field and still be, you know, good?
Sorry, Dad, you're going to love this. No, you're not. But I'm using that sarcastically.
Oh, no.
Well, because I was like, you know what? We're going to talk draft. We have like a couple minutes. I just wanted to get an idea of what people were thinking. Mm-hmm. This is from the Seahawks.com writer. I want you to take a wild guess at the quarterback he thinks they should draft or are going to.
What position are they drafting?
Well, so listen, this is the quarterback he thinks
12 or 15, I think. Draft, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is also from Joel Klatt. It's not necessarily. They're just showing their pick is at number 16. A lot of people have them picking like defensive tackle, offensive tackle, guard. Yeah. This one guy has him picking a quarterback. Who do you think this quarterback is?
There's not really a quarterback to draft at 16.
It depends. Well, that's not true, actually. Yes, there's going to be a couple.
They think the Penix is available by then? Oh, no, then I don't know.
J.J. McCarthy.
Nope.
Oh, and I want to read this to you, because this, to me, I struggle to believe this person is taking them seriously, and this is in April 1st. So this is so interesting, because their new coaching staff, Mike Macdonald coaching under John Harbaugh, then Jim Harbaugh, then John Harbaugh again. What do you think he's going to try to build? The Raven Michigan way. That's going to be a great defense, hard edges, run stuff in the middle, good hybrid players in the secondary. Love all that. Offensively, you want to be able to ground and pound and then have a quarterback who can create. In order to be at the top end of this philosophy, you have to have a quarterback that can create. That's why Baltimore is having great success with Lamar Jackson. That's why Michigan won the national championship. The Wolverines had a quarterback who could complete a pass on 4th down or go get a first down in several other big games.
Not in the NFL.
What are you talking about?
Not in the NFL.
J.J. McCarthy ain't running for first downs in the NFL. Oh, my gosh.
He looks like Peyton running. Anyway.
I think you go get Penix personally. I think he'll be available. I really do.
I don't know that he's available by then. And I'm still not sold on him. Look, you know, the stars were too big for him. I'd rather, man, can we get a Purdy on 260 on draft 262?
So this is just my opinion. I don't put too much stock necessarily in some of those games, and the reason I say that is because Purdy literally got benched at Iowa State because he kept throwing interceptions. Mm-hmm. So
Joe Montana came off the bench to win the Sugar Bowl. He wasn't the starter.
So Penix, they have ranked like 20th. I do think he's going to be on the board because Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, I think are going to get taken before him. Sure. I see a world where he's available, and I would take him personally.
Hey, look, I'd take. Anyway, there's a lot of people I'd take over their current quarterback. In fact, they even tried with who's their backup?
Drew Luck.
Drew Luck.
Drew Lock? Drew Lock, sorry.
Lock, yeah. Sorry. I thought he was going to be better, by the way, when he first came into the league, and he's just been okay. He's a great backup. Doesn't seem very dynamic. Doesn't seem to make, to your point, doesn't seem to be able to make it. You can throw things at Josh Allen because he does do those off-script things, but you're going to win and die that way, right? He's going to make more spots than he screws up, in my opinion. I'd take that guy in a blink of an eye, right? I wonder about Dak outside of Dallas, for example. How good is he really? I think he's got skills, right? I might. Man, is there a way to you guys put all that effort into the Niners kid? Can we take Dak off your hands? Although it sounds like they're paying him a bunch of money. I think somebody said. But anyway. I'm a Dak fan, actually. I think there's more to that problem than Dak. In Dallas. There's some other guys that if they weren't happy where they're at, I would say, hey, they're better than, it'd be interesting to see how Harbaugh does in San Diego with, I had his name and I just blanked on his name. Quarterback in San Diego, the kid. Herbert, right?
Herbert.
I love that guy, right? So I just don't think that what's his name is the starter for the Seahawks. I don't think they take him farther than they currently are, which is a 9-8 team. And I think Rams will be better. I think Arizona's going to be better, and certainly Niners aren't going anywhere. So if you're not better, you're the third or fourth place in the NFC West. So
and we'll get into mock draft. There's some weird ones in here. Everybody just thinks Caleb Williams is going to Chicago. I mean,
really?
I don't know.
Still, hey, I'll take. They want to trade Fields. I'll take him.
I don't think he's better, but we'll see. Jaden Daniels goes to Washington.
My point was, if Chicago wants to dump.
No. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Caleb Williams is better.
Where he can go. Let's go to Seattle.
No, I'd 100% take Justin Fields. I don't think Caleb Williams is better.
No. Now, they might think, I'm going to put him on the bench for 2 years and let him actually learn how to play football instead of you draft.
That's not the Chicago way, Dad.
No, I know.
That's not how we don't develop quarterbacks.
Oops.
Jaden Daniels to Washington, which makes sense. Drake May to Minnesota because Kirk Cousins is getting older. I don't love this. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. Please, God, no.
They have him very high on their. I heard. I was listening to local here, and they said, unless.
No.
He's the real deal, man.
No, thank you.
Real deal.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Then there's like O-line, wide receiver, some other stuff.
Who do they have? Niners, other than Seahawks. They have
Seahawks.
Other than that one lunatic.
Seahawks. Listen. I still think you go with Penix.
Well, it'll be interesting now that Pete's gone, right?
They have him set to draft a defensive lineman, and that feels like, guys, you're not San Francisco. We take the edge rushers in first round, not you guys. But they have J.J. McCarthy going to Denver. Woo, okay.
I hope so.
So then, like for Denver, us, they have us taking. I like this. I don't even care who it is. They have us taking a cornerback. Cool. Cornerback or offensive lineman?
And it's
sounds
like from
good.
LSU or something, right? Where he's just stud from the SEC.
Clemson.
Cornerback from the SEC is what you want right now.
Yeah, he's from Clemson. I'm cool with that.
There you go.
I would still want to take an offensive lineman because I think that's our biggest need.
Yeah, but you don't need him at 6. What are they picking? When are the Niners picking?
31st.
30? Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So, but listen, they have, and I agree with this. San
Diego
Diego
have
taking
5 picks in the first 60 picks, I think, or 90 picks.
Good Lord. They have San Diego taking an offensive tackle. They have Tennessee taking an offensive tackle. They have the Jets taking an offensive tackle. They have Pittsburgh taking an offensive tackle. They have Cincinnati taking an offensive tackle.
Well, look,
and
other
LA.
than other than Caleb Williams, does anybody know any of the quarterbacks that are available this year? Right? I mean, they're not.
And Houston taking an offensive lineman.
Well, if you got CJ, you need
Dallas taking an offensive tackle. Buccaneers taking an offensive tackle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you've got your quarterback situation settled, then then you go. You and I have talked about it, right? We'll talk about it next week. Need versus best player available, right? And most NFL they have those two lists, right? Sometimes it's the same guy, right? But some people go, look, this is the best defensive player I've ever seen. We don't really need another cornerback, but I can't pass up this kid, right? Right? Or, oh my God, if we don't get a cornerback, all the rest of this doesn't matter, and I'll actually go down a little ways because I know the guy I'm going to want is still there, and maybe I get an extra. That's what Pete used to do all the time. He'd go down and get as many draft picks as he could, but it'd be interesting to see how many of those guys stuck, right? I don't necessarily disagree or agree with Pete's strategy, because historically, other than the last 2 years, they've been very successful.
I actually really like the many draft picks as possible. I like the many draft picks as possible approach. Just because of that, you just don't know who's gonna stick. So if you give me 40 options,
expensive, right? Yeah.
But I will say I'm a little surprised. I'm not surprised, but it might be why we're taking a cornerback because it looked like all the quote unquote good linemen were taken off the board before you even get to us.
Yeah.
I want us to focus on that. It is.
Unless you can package and trade up, like let's say, I'm not. This is no draft rumors. I don't have any insight into the Niners, but let's say for some reason Ayuk is thoroughly dissatisfied. You package that guy and you go up and you go get another guy. You get Harrison Jr. Right? Think about that.
But that would require Arizona to be willing to trade, and I just don't see that.
Yeah, not in their same division. I know that, but no. Get ahead of him is my point.
Well, so that's the other problem, and this is where this gets a little hairy. And again, we'll get into this. But I do think it's important to set up for next time. Is two things. One, the Niners have 11 picks on the draft, which is pretty good. We get a lot of compensatory picks because, and this is funny to me.
They were mad about it, by the way. Did you read the article? They were so angry because he's hiring quote unquote DNI.
No. It's even funnier than that. The owners who are hiring coaches from the Niners are mad we're getting picks for it. Okay, if you think they're good, they're getting credit because y'all can't hire well. Really, anyway, it's just the dumbest thing.
That is a funny dichotomy.
But the problem is the first four I don't see moving at all unless Chicago's going to want a boatload because if those first three need quarterbacks, they are not going to move.
No, exactly.
Only one I could see is Arizona, unless they really think that receivers going to change the world. Because the argument to be made.
Who's the kid they had that was mated up with Kyler, but he's kind of a head case. He was actually at wherever Kyler's from, and when they got him, he's not from there, but he's all world. He's like
Hopkins.
Hopkins, right? They thought Hopkins was it, and then he got injured. He's a bit of a head, he's a high.
Yeah, to me that's more of Arizona not having
their
really
crap
good.
Together. Yeah. Well, I mean, with a new coach, maybe that changes, right? Because if you remember, when T.O. wasn't happy, T.O. wasn't very good. When T.O. was happy, he was all world, right? But it was I can't touch my headphone. It was between here with T.O. I mean, dancing on the star, having the pen in the sock.
Only reason I bring up Arizona, though, because I agree with you. I don't think you do, but if you don't, if
do it within your own division.
No. Sorry. If in general, if they were going to move, right? The only way I could see that is if you really think you need 3 or 4 pieces rather than one, because then you go, listen, we need enough. Because I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to take you to a Super Bowl. But if you think, okay, we can get enough with our other, and actually, let me look how many picks they have.
They've got a boatload of picks, according to the guy I listened to in the afternoon, and Wolf.
Because
on Wolfley. Wolfley was like, they've got him and the guy that he's on with. It was a boatload. I was like, oh boy, and then you bundle them. Maybe you move up, get besides Harrison, you get somebody else because their running back is
13
really
draft
good.
picks.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, you don't move. You're like, I have enough. I don't care.
Yeah.
And Marvin Harrison, to me, is a slam dunk.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that's a miss. I don't think there's a world where he's not good.
Nope.
And yet supports your new quarterback. It's why
By the way, you still got Hopkins. You still have him. I think they still have him.
I don't think they do anymore.
Oh, was it a 1-year deal?
No, I thought they... Let me look.
Cut him? Oh.
No. Andre Hopkins?
Well, sometimes they do it for the
DeAndre. So let me just look. He might still be in the Cardinals. I thought they had moved on. Oh, they did. They did cut him.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. And then they were going to sign him back. It was something, it's one of those weird contractual.
Oh, he's on Tennessee.
See, now you really do need a.
You ain't going nowhere. You need Marvin Harrison. So in that scenario,
to be honest with you, I still think the Niners need a number one. I think Debo is your number one offensive weapon. He's not your number one receiver. He can't just get open when he needs to. He can't just streak down the field and be wide open.
So 2 things. One, if I have to move on from anybody, I'm moving on from Debo. I know that sounds weird, but right now I don't need the Swiss Army knife. I need receivers. Ayuk, I don't think it's a problem because I don't think they give him the options to get. And by the way, he was open in overtime, wide open. So he's our number one, and I actually think he is a true number one. The problem is that's our weakest. He got 1,300 yards when the weakest part of our game was actually passing, which is hilarious to me.
Well, and then you still got Jennings, who I still think is good. I mean,
right. I think Ray
the ball, he's an octopus, right?
Ray. Well, and the problem is, unfortunately, with how well he's playing, is some team might overpay, and because they're not smart, to be like, well, we need him. And you're like, well, you need him, but Jennings? You need other things.
Overpay who?
Juwan.
Oh.
Because that happens. We see it all the time.
Sure.
People go, well, look at that catch, and go, well, okay, but he's our third, fourth option. Like, that's not... Well,
if you heard them talking about the guy from Kansas City, and they said because they overpaid Donald, the Rams overpaid. Now, the second
Correct.
guy was, $10 million less or something. I can't remember. So now they're going to have to pay him. Well, now he gets a little comfy, and he gets a little,
Yep.
I got my money.
Yep.
I really need to be there on every play.
So we keep Ayuk. I don't see him going. I just don't see that happening, unless I don't think he's that disgruntled. But I mean, we'll see. I don't actually know. So I don't see any world where the Niners can move up ahead of 4. So at that point, is there even any reason to? So
there's a lot of space between 4 and 31.
True, but what I'm saying is, unless it's like the lock of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
I'm not moving up.
Yeah. Unless there's an all-world left tackle, and I don't know
True.
about to be honest, I don't know the offensive line. I don't know. I know when I talk about
Trent.
These guys up here, it's always O-line that is a mystery. Right?
We need everybody but Trent, and unfortunately he got hurt. Feliciano is okay. Our right guard is just a turnstile.
No. He's the guy that saved the first touchdown, if you remember.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay.
Because he's so bad.
Hey, look, we got to save something for draft.
No, we will, because there's going to be a lot. It's going to be fascinating. I'm really interested. We never even got to talk about MVP. I don't
Obviously,
think they got
Mahomes was MVP, right?
No. Regular season.
The Super Bowl, right?
Regular season. Which, by the way, it should have been Chris Jones. Or I would have given it to coaches. Anyway, we'll go over the awards because I think there were some really cool ones. I do think still talking about next year for these teams is going to be really fascinating. I'm actually, again, I know they're a rival of ours, but I'm excited to talk Seahawks. I think they made a really smart hire in McDonald. I think that was a great call. I think we're going to talk about off seasons for these teams in terms of like Ravens. What do you change anything? Because you had it and you kind of let them off the hook, to quote a certain coach. Miami, do you move on from Tua? Because I don't think Tua's very good. Buffalo, what are you going to do? I think they're like $90 million over the cap. They went all in. Rams is going to be interesting. Like, does Stafford just keep coming back? Because they were pretty darn good, got to the playoffs on a rebuilding year. So there's going to be a lot of... Usually this is when I stop caring about football. And in a weird way, I'm kind of annoyed we're doing this because now I have to keep thinking about football. My wife's a big baseball
fan, so it was like there was a great quote that says, "I'm glad the Super Bowl's here because that means spring training's about to start."
Yeah, and I don't do baseball, but it'd be interesting to talk about because
I love baseball. I just don't. I'm not an expert, so what am I talking about, right? The guy can hit.
Not. I mean, we have off season. We'll get to talk.
Dodgers overspending everybody in the Major League Baseball again, right?
The Dodgers,
$70 million on that one.
I don't even know where hockey season is.
I can't even remember his name, but anyway.
No, the guy that paid $1 million a year or something ridiculous. It was the weirdest deal. Where are we even at in the NHL season? I realized
NHL. We could
not followed at all because the Sharks are terrible.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Arizona's much better, unfortunately. And I do like the Coyotes. And they now play closer. I love it. They play at Mullet Arena. I just can't even.
We're about halfway through the NHL season.
Well, me and Chris got to go to a Mullet Arena game. Maybe make me
with
you
some,
Chris has Tim ever been to a hockey game?
I don't think so.
That would be fun.
We're about halfway through basketball season. Well, so there's other things.
Yeah, there's drama here locally. I mean, wasn't the Suns supposed to be way better than they're currently? I think they're like almost in the play-in territory. Oh man,
that's something we'll talk about because
is a little. I'm not a big fan, so
2-second opinion. I don't think Booker is the piece you build around, and I think that's what's costing them.
Yeah, you got Kevin Durant. Build around him.
That's my point. If you have Kevin Durant and Booker and you can't win games,
Booker is all world. But I just, do you build around what's his name with the beard? Not here. All world, Mr. Beard, the Beard. Everybody tried
Harden?
Harden. Everybody tried to build around him. Never brought a,
Well,
Houston
you know what?
did.
Okay, fair. I didn't know this. To be fair, the Suns are 5th in the West, so it's not like they're.
Well, and the West is tough, so.
So that's actually they're 33-22.
But they've lost some games that the local press that I listen to are like they went on a road trip that just got flushed.
Who's their coach?
I never remember the coaches.
I thought he was Frank Vogel.
Yeah. Been around. He did Miami. Took Miami to the end, right?
We'll get to that.
Didn't he get a world championship with Vogel in Miami with LeBron and
No, that was LA. And that was during the bubble year.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. He never coached.
He's the young guy, right?
No, that's oh my gosh.
Oh. Kind of Spagnola, but something, right? You're right. He was a young kid.
Spoelstra.
Right? Yeah, Spoelstra. Okay.
He's a good
coach. I got a quote
for
you. I got a good Super Bowl quote for you to end today.
Sweet.
Talent sets the floor. Character sets the ceiling. Bill Belichick. And if you're a Niners fan, I think your quarterback has character in spades.
And as long as we have him, I have faith in us being back because
we'll take it. You don't want him. Just let me know.
Well, and the number of throws to Connolly
will be all good. What's that?
Number of throws to Connolly and Ray McLeod. That's the thing that impresses me the most is the number of times it's a throw to someone. You're like, he's on the team. Who's that? Oh,
all right. Jennings. Well, remember the one that was 2,000 feet in the air, right? It was Jennings who just went up and grabbed the thing out of the air. Anyway, we'll go on and on. So overall, hey, look, if you're a Niners fan, the bleeding will stop. And then you can work on, hey, what do they do in the draft? And let's argue about the draft. Seahawks, in my opinion, need to rebuild. I think they need to change. And then they got a new young 32. What is he, 32? 34? Something like that?
Great
No,
question.
36 because he's half the age of Pete Carroll, which I thought was interesting.
I
told my wife the other day, right? I got all this falling apart. I shaved my beard. And I got all cleaned up. I went out there and I said, this is so that you don't trade me in on somebody that's half my age and not broken. So she thought that was hilarious. But anyway.
No, but I think it'll be fun. I think in what's good. obviously, like I can't watch. I love watching film. I haven't been able to watch a lot of film.
Yep.
But
Maybe May.
it's going to be really fun for me for the first time, really, to get to watch these guys I follow do film on these guys who are going to be in the draft. I got to watch Brock Purdy on JT O'Sullivan's channel before he was a Niner, and to be like, okay, what do you expect?
Here's the funnest part for you, for everybody that knows. You get to go coach some awesome little kids.
That was fun. Thursday was a little rough. Got a little more ADD than normal.
So here's what I'd love to do. So can we end the broadcast, and then I still want to tell you about tomorrow that these people all don't care about.
It's going to kick you off, so you'll need to rejoin.
Oh, we can do that.
Sweet. All right. We're going to go have conversations.
Congratulations to the Chiefs. I love how, by the way, I love how Pat always does that, right? Wherever.
Oh, I love Pat. I love Pat. He's the best. Anyway, we're gonna go. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot. Off season's gonna be packed. I think there's gonna be a lot of really interesting things going on. Kind of what do teams do? How do you rebuild? Where do you go from here? Including the Niners and the Chiefs, because I do think C.J. Stroud and the Texans are going to be better. Like, you can't just maintain; you need to keep building.
It'd be interesting to see what they do in Baltimore.
I
think they came up way short than they thought they should.
And now their defensive coordinator's gone.
Right.
So that isn't like you've seen with the Niners. Maybe if we have Saleh or D'Amico Ryans, defense doesn't have that. You never know, right? Like, that's an interesting discussion. Like, do they take it?
That's maybe the number one. Who do they hire for the Niners? Even more so than the draft. I think their defense coordinator is a huge, huge thing.
Well, actually,
because they got talent. It's not like they don't have good, horses on defense.
And I don't want to take too much longer, but I don't know if the Ravens also have hired their defensive coordinator, because obviously they've lost their coach. So that'll be interesting too. I'll have to look.
Well, nobody's hiring Spags unless it's a head coaching job, I'm pretty sure. Right? They're not stealing.
Well, no, Spagnuolo already renewed his contract.
Coordinator, right? I mean, you know what I mean.
Oh, they already did. I'm so sorry. Ravens, they apparently Zach Orr was promoted one day after Mike McDonald left. Apparently,
so he's promoted from within. So they're running the system.
Which good for them. That's exactly what you want.
You got something that's working. Do you really want to throw it overboard? No.
And what's really cool, real quick, is he coached. No, did he play for them? Yeah, he played for Baltimore. So that's really cool. I like the organization. That's a good organization.
Lions guy, right? The Lions guy, Campbell.
All right. Well, we're gonna go, guys. Have a wonderful week. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll see you next Friday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Go NHL now. Later.